Juan, so you mentioned we weren't going to go with any agenda. You had something you wanted to talk about. What was it? I have no clue.
Yeah, no. So, like, first of all, I wanted to really thank those people who are engaging with us in the community and providing very, very insightful comments as to how to make things better. I mean,
Yeah,
those
over the
guys.
last
I
two
mean,
weeks has been nuts, no? Like people coming out
yeah,
with
no,
some crazy cool
it's
stuff.
just great, and it's it's constructive stuff, thoughtful stuff. It's not kind of backseat driving. You should do this. You should do that. No, no. It's actually kind of constructive stuff. What
Really
is the
good
next?
feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, very good feedback. So I'm very grateful for people putting in the time for that. And I've just spent like an hour and a half replying to a thread, and I've realized, well, maybe we could reply to this much better in 5 minutes by video than by writing for a half
Yeah,
hour on the thread.
exactly.
Okay, maybe this is a
There
start
we
to
go.
something, and
Thread
this thread
number,
relates.
whatever it is.
No, this is going to go. No, this is going to go into the alpha thing because it's kind of repositioning the Darwinex thing, and there's one point there.
If you're
So
watching
one of
this,
the
by
points
the
that
way, if you're watching this and it's in your forum thread, it means you prompted the video creation. So this is
and thank you
directly
so
for
much.
you.
Okay.
And thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the points which I've just answered is like Darwinex should do a better job of telling me what to do. Which Darwin to invest in, and the answer was, sorry, mate. You've got to the wrong loo. Darwinex is not going to do a better or worse job. Which is not going to tell you where to invest. Because
Yeah.
so, let's tackle that. That's the
Not in
exchange thing
that
which we
business.
discussed. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we've covered the difference between a trader and a manager, and then the investor and manager, and so on. And this
Mhm.
brings me to um, a point, which is by building Darwinex, we've managed to nail two super important things for aspiring Darwin managers.
Mhm.
One, which is worth hundreds of thousands of euros in terms of out of money expenses plus focus, is to provide a zero upfront, zero running, and zero sunk cost platform to legally tap investor funds under FCA regulation
And that's hundreds of
without
thousands of
compromising
euros
your
a
intellectual property.
year.
A year,
Yeah.
okay? And that's all included in the 5 peanuts that you pay a month in trading your thousands of euro account. And don't mean this in a disrespectful way, okay? So we throw in into the on top of the brokerage service that we offer, which we try to make competitive in its own right,
Hmm.
we throw in literally 12 million euros worth of investment and a couple of million euros a year of investment to give that to you included in your brokerage fee. Okay,
Hmm.
that's value proposition one. That's what I call the hedge fund as a service to be, meaning it's still not a hedge fund, but it could be, and it's well on track to being.
Hmm.
And to be meaning it like everything Darwinex, it's alpha. It's going to continue improving every day, so it will never be finished.
Hmm.
Okay, that's point one.
Yep.
Point two is the opportunity to create a level playing field where all the users of the previous stack compete in a public exchange, which is survival of the fittest,
Hmm.
both for the managers supplying the Darwins, and the managers managing the portfolios. And we've
Hmm.
discussed that elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, by creating those network effects and by investing in things like this, we create traffic to the exchange, which has attracted investment, in some cases by investors, which is a problem, like I've explained before, and
Yeah.
in other cases by managers. Okay. But that is the second layer of value addition. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, and I'm going to say this in my alphaness and I am sick and tired, literally sick and tired of hearing people complain that they're not getting any investment and implying that it's Darwin's job to get investment to them. And it's saying like it's a failure for Darwinex to not bring investors to them. And here's my message to them. If you want to secure investment in yourself, your first and foremost important task, if you are an alpha, is to do this jump from being a trader to
To
a
a
manager.
manager.
Like you have to secure, like you have to go from
I agree with that. Yeah.
zero investors because like you are a trader. You have to become a manager who's managing his own capital, but you have to separate out both roles. Okay. Now, once you've done that and you spend several years in becoming a consistent manager,
Hmm.
you'll be in a position to stand a chance of landing your first investor. But the first chance you get to land your first investor is not through Darwinex. It is by leveraging this 12 million euro technology stack and regulatory stack that we're giving you for free, and going out to your friends and families and fools circle in exactly the same way that when I started this company, I leveraged all my internal capital first to convince my friends, my former bosses, and a whole bunch of fools to invest a whole bunch of cash into a company that exists where nothing should have been done.
So
And it's
here we should make
only
a clarification right away. So the person watching this, a few people watching this will immediately say, well, how is that legal? How can I go offer investment advice to somebody?
okay. Well, you know, you don't
It
have
could be
to.
construed that
Okay.
way, yeah.
Well, that's a fair point. So,
Yeah. So how do I do this? How
um,
do I go tell my mate when I'm not regulated, as in I don't have that particular licensing from the FCA? What do I
well,
do?
when you're having that dinner and your wife says, "How's the week gone with trading this week, Peter?" and you
Yeah.
go, "Well, it's gone pretty well. You know, look at my Darwin." You know, and they can see, oh, you know, that's like
No,
show me more about it.
but we should
And
be clear about
well,
this because this is public. This
well,
video is public, so we have to be clear. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, look, I mean, it's not like you're putting a gun to their faces to say this is, you know, this is what I'm doing, this is me, this is how it works, and I'm just a believer in that. And if we have a problem with that, that means we're having lots of success because lots of people are promoting the Darwins, and then, you know, we'll be accountable to the FCA. By the way,
Sort of
it's
like.
not their investment, so it's like why this is legal. It's because it's not their investment, and they're not getting paid one iota for any brokerage revenues that generates. So they
That's
are
true.
simply signal providers to an FCA regulated asset manager, and they're not getting compensated for anything other than success by a third party who's going to make sure that the investment is suitable. We would still have the right to refuse investment if it's not done in a proper way.
Of
So,
course.
quite frankly, and then, you know, some of these things, I will not be the first one to defend Uber for their sexist behavior or whatever, but I mean, in many ways, life and alphaness is about hustling, and being an alpha is about finding a way where there shouldn't be a way. And I'm sorry, but that's just how it
No, that
is,
makes sense.
and
That makes sense.
nothing's going to change it.
It's just that one point that I thought was important for clarification because that
So
question will
look,
get raised.
and then what does Darwinex do for you? Well, we're giving you the entire technology for free. We're giving you the Darwinia seed allocation, which is deliberately random in some ways, so that there is an element of merit, but there's also an element of luck, so that you can, at dinner, you can say, honey, this week went very well because I got 100 grand allocation from Darwinia. And then the guy who's going to come in, he's no longer the first fool, he's the second fool, because there's already Darwinex backing them in the first place, right?
Fool
And it's a
said with
lot
the best
easier
of respect.
with you know, but like, I'm not saying it in the bad, but look,
No,
I'm
no, no.
saying, you know, I tell my shareholders they are fools, and they agree. I mean, like, and it can work out, but because
Yeah.
you know, we're busting our balls to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
It's, you know, everybody is, it's kind of stay foolish, stay hungry, and you keep going at it until you make it. That's what
Yeah.
alpha's about. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're giving you the stack, we're giving you the Darwinian allocation, and then it's, you know, and you're not succeeding in bringing your closest inner circle of people who should trust you the most in your life, and then it's Darwinex's fault that we're not getting you any investment. It's like, sorry, mate, this is just not for you.
Yeah, see, because
Okay,
Darwinex's
so
job is
like,
not to go hunt the investment. It's
no,
to
no,
provide
exactly,
the
and
platform
this goes
to
back
enable
to
that exchange.
and this goes back to the point of also disclosing the manager's equity in the strategy. Okay, so I think going forward, what we'll do is we'll disclose the manager's equity, the friends and family money from the people he sourced to the platform, and then the other bit, because that's another layer on the onion. If this guy has
That's a
stuck
good
up his
idea.
neck to put his own,
That's a good idea.
so yeah, the guy's putting out his own capital, then he's brought his friends and family. So then, I mean, as a third party investor, it's okay. This guy is mature enough to have done all this. Okay, he may or may not make money, but what I know is he's not gonna go fuck off.
No, I hear you.
Okay, so that's another layer of the stack, and quite frankly, I mean, it just beats me, and it just beats me that, you know, sometimes, like, there's a saying in Spanish which basically says, if you, which is basically, honey wasn't made to feed donkeys. I mean, and that's just how it is, right? That's just how it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
And
yeah.
in many ways, that also points out the fact that how our positioning is
No,
not
thank
in
you.
the Say hi to the missus.
The Mrs. Juan Colón says hi. This is, by the way, going to go on YouTube, so you made an appearance.
She's famous now.
She's famous
Um,
now, yeah.
um,
Thank
yeah,
you.
and that's the point about the whole. What is Darwinex's role? So, Darwinex is first and foremost to provide you a platform whereby you can overcome any legal barriers without having to fund them up front,
Yeah.
and where you can get a benchmark to benchmark yourselves against others. And once you feel you have the trust, because by the way, a manager will not, I mean, a true manager will not go out kind of selling badly and say, yeah, I'm the best, whatever. And you'll go out humbly and saying, I've been
Yeah.
trying for 5 years. I started out losing my shirts. And then I've been kind of breaking even. And in the last couple of years, it's going quite well. Give it a try. And by the way, the guy who's going to invest in the beginning, he's not going to go and mortgage his house to invest in you. He's going
No,
to invest
precisely. Yeah.
play money because that's what rational people do. So, we're all grown-ups and they'll know what to do. You don't have to feel
Yeah,
guilty
I mean,
about it.
this is important to talk about because a lot of people, I can almost guarantee that a lot of the time that this doesn't come up, and I'm probably one of those people to blame, is that we're not really clear on the legalities of it. At least people who are responsible, as I'd like to think I'm responsible, don't take that
Yeah.
step out of an assumption that the legalities of it are not clear. So I suspect that a lot of my comrades in the community, as well as
But
anyone
hang on. So
watching
there's
this,
yeah.
because it's
Mhm.
a valid point, right?
But the,
So you say to me
yeah, but the
now, "Hey, why don't
legality,
you get your friends?" I'll be like, "But is that
but
legal?"
the legality is that the friends are going to invest with a properly risk managed. Like there's a layer of risk management in between, and we are as an FCA manager going to place a suitability assessment on any investors. So if anybody is not qualified to make investments in
There
a
we
in a
go.
strategy like
This is
this,
what people need to
he's
hear. This is it.
he's
Yeah,
going to get rejected anyhow.
yeah,
Okay, now, but I mean, and I'll be, this is the world's first crowdsourced open asset manager, and just to like Uber triggered the creation of some regulations, and Airbnb triggered the issues of some regulations. In our ways, we will have our own Uber moment, and that's when having an asset, having a risk manager and having a whole bunch of provisions to protect investors will come into place. But there's several provisions here. Is we're going for there's a personal bound of trust
mm.
that's already there. So it's already the incentives are very aligned. I mean, you're not going to basically fuck your father-in-law over 200 grand, like over 200 euros, is it?
Yeah,
But the
precisely.
fact of being able to carry, I'm marrying, I'm managing my own 10,000 bucks and 1,000 bucks my father-in-law with 10% value at risk. You know, the worst thing that can happen is he loses 100 bucks. If he loses 100 bucks, you go and pay dinner to him.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So, and then eventually, once he sees, if and when he sees that the $1,000 are growing by 15% per year, then he'll think, okay, maybe I start with 10 grand, and then he will start recommending and so on. But you're building trust. So you ask the guy, start small, and thank you so much for your trust. And I will not let you know. I'll do my very, very best to preserve your capital because, by the way, I'm investing my own capital. I'm inviting you to follow my own lead because I've already invested my own capital. And there's nothing dishonest in that. I mean, like at some point, somebody has to take a leap.
yeah,
And it's a lot easier for that somebody who knows you to take that leap than for somebody sourced by Darwinex. That's just not going to happen. It just isn't. And by the way, we see that too. So there is a meta-famousness effect in the platform that it takes an awful lot to get to 500,000 worth of AUM. But once you've got to that level, then it's a lot easier to get to the next level.
absolutely. No, this I
And
can
by the
vouch
way,
for.
and even then, the learnings you're putting in to learn how to sell are going to be invaluable for anything you do in your life. So, and you have to, what is the good way to become a great poet? Well, the only great way to become a great poet is to start being a shit poet and continuing to compose every day.
Yeah, yeah, no, true. As is
So
the case
it's
in music
again,
or
it's
anything.
part of the journey. And if you're not willing to embrace the journey of going out and selling your own thing, quite frankly, you're not ready for this, and you're not worth our responses.
Hmm. I mean, clearing up the questions of the legalities of it, I think would probably get more people engaged. I think that because I can
Okay,
vouch for
well
that
then,
on a personal level. That
okay, well
that
then
is one of the
let's
things
get
that
a
held me
but
back.
that's that's another. Let's do a subject
Yeah.
that let's do one on these because it's
Yeah, I
important.
think the legalities
So
of it, if we can clear it up, a lot of people, I'm absolutely certain, will feel a lot more comfortable with that.
okay, okay,
Because
let's do
that's
that.
where I play devil's advocate here. Because
Okay,
while
let's do
that
that.
is sensible,
No, and by all
uh,
means, look,
yeah.
I'm not here to say we're perfect. You know, we are far from perfect. I mean, I think we are. We suck so much
Mm,
that we've been going at this for 8 years, and yet this very basic question remains unclear. So
unclear. Yeah.
you know you're listening to a guy who's a complete and utter wanker in terms of communication,
No,
but
I
at the
would
very
disagree,
least
but okay.
at the very least, I try very hard, and then and you know, one starts to have an age, and just like I wouldn't let this one kind of fool around with me with stuff, it just gets to a point where you go, look, mate, if you've got a free stack to get to investors, and you're not capable of raising 50,000 euros yourself, this is probably not for you.
At least
It
the
just
attraction
isn't,
capital side of
unless
it.
you are some genius who's got Asperger's syndrome and can really generate 100% per year. In which case, you know, I will personally go out and sell it for him because that's part of the one thing we'll try to fix. In the meantime, unless you go out and hustle, it's fine. And Darwinex has made the job a lot easier because you're going to go out and hustle with all your money in your pocket because you haven't put down $500,000 of investment to get a regulated platform to sell in the first place. So
Yeah.
that's how it works. I mean,
No,
and
point.
Darwin, not Darwinex, not I mean, not even God can change that. So that's the way it's just that's just you know it is what it is.
Hmm.
Okay,
Sweet. Thank you.
cheers.